Hello, I am Sanjay Nersoa and I will be discussing the history of construction engineering and management.
Hi, I'm Edgar Rae, and today I will be discussing about functions of construction engineer and management.
Hello, my name is Louis and I'll be discussing about the importance of the construction engineering and management.
Hello everyone, my name is Jerico, Libago, and I'll be explaining about the essence, methods used, and the process of work in the field of construction engineering and management.
Hi, my name is Cyrx and I will be discussing to you where do we see construction engineering and management in our daily lives and the possible problems they might encounter.
Hello, I'm Marc and I'll be discussing about fun and famous buildings that would not be how it is today without construction management.
Hello, I am Sanjay Nersoa and I will be discussing the history of construction engineering and management. So before anything else, did you know that this program is a combined study of basic civil engineering and construction management courses? Graduates shall be knowledgeable on the fundamentals of structural and construction engineering like design and analysis, material testing and quality assurance, building systems, construction technologies, and surveying. So let's talk about construction engineering and management. The construction engineering and management area of study prepares students to manage design, construction and operation of sustainable buildings and infrastructure systems and the increasingly global construction industry. Although this may sound similar to other fields, but construction management engineering professionals plan, budget, and direct construction projects, including roads, bridges, schools, hospitals, and residential and commercial structures. The history of construction engineering and management wasn't made rushly but was done to make sure of many issues. So ever heard about the comparison between construction management and engineering management? Well, construction management is a specialized form of project management that oversees all aspects of a building project from beginning to end. Engineering management is a study and practice of project management that is not relevant to a specific discipline. Now let's talk about the history of construction engineering and management. According to the USC Library, the history of construction engineering and management education closely follows the emergence of construction industry as an economic force in the United States. The initial introduction of programs in the post-World War II era was followed by specialization and the introduction of graduate construction specialties in the early 1960s. However, the lack of qualified individuals was recognized as a factor in successfully developing the construction engineering management focus as an academic discipline. Today, that concern continues as CEM programs in the United States find themselves under attack by the academic colleagues for issues such as lack of qualified faculty candidates and lack of funding opportunities. This paper addresses the status of the construction academic community by examining the common history of the CEM faculty through a genealogical approach, the history research record through an examination of the publication record, and the question that faced a community that has appeared to slip from its intellectual peak. It was then in the 19th century that the construction management began to take shape to become the field it is now. The Industrial Revolution that began in the late 1700s acted as the impetus for the development of principles governing the project management process. And that's it for the history of construction engineering and management. Thank you and goodbye.
Hi, I'm Edgar Rae, and today I will be discussing about functions of construction engineer and management. So now, let's talk about the 7 functions of a construction engineer. First is planning, scheduling, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, and coordinating. First, let's talk about planning. A construction manager uses planning to optimize resource use, reduce conflicts, and solve problems creatively. And it is also a mental process deciding about future line of action. Scheduling. A construction manager determines how much time the total project will take, tracking labor hours and how long each stage will take. Organizing. Management professionals divide the construction project into departments and assign specific tasks to individual team members. Staffing. An important function of construction managers is to ensure employees are assigned to departments and tasks that are best suited to them. Directing. Construction managers train, support, and correct employees so their tasks are completed entirely and correctly. Controlling. They compare active achievements to the project plan and make adjustments to meet deadlines and objectives. Coordinating. Construction managers make sure each department understands their role, what kind of help they can expect from each other, and have clear communication about plan changes. Now, that is all about the 7 functions of construction engineer and management. Thank you for listening and have a good day.
Hello, my name is Louis and I'll be discussing about the importance of the construction engineering and management. Did you know that the CM has a history that dates back ancient Egypt? So let's talk about the importance. Construction engineering is an important part of the construction industry because it provides much of the design aspect of the field. It is different from the other branches because it focuses mainly in managing the building construction. I think that is all. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jerico, and I will be explaining about the essence, methods used, and the process of work in the field of construction engineering and management. Let's hop into it. The essence of being an engineer in this field revolves around improving construction projects, using critical thinking both in technical and scientific elements. Construction engineers are the key to finishing projects with guarantee of safety, cost-effectiveness, strength, and productivity. Over the course of their career, a construction engineering manager is likely to work on and oversee a broad range of projects. This may include the design of drainage and sewage system, building construction, or even larger infrastructure projects like developing highways or railroads. Some common areas of focus for construction engineering and management, or CES, include commercial business or housing construction, electrical system design, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning engineering, mechanical, highway or heavy construction such as bridge building, airport design, waterways management systems, and many more. So how do engineers of construction engineering and management work? Before construction even begins, he or she is called to survey a site. Surveying a site is used to establish plans such as location and alignment of materials. Moreover, it is also used to determine environmental issues, study local laws and codes, and consider detailed details and arrangements that need to be set out before construction begins. Construction engineers are responsible for assembling teams of engineers that are fit to the job. They are also expected to use construction softwares on the computer so as to finalize and visualize the structure, materials, and the cost of the project. Once again, I am Jerico, and I thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Hi, my name is Cyrx, and I will be discussing to you where do we see construction engineering and management in our daily lives and the possible problems they might encounter. So now, where do we see construction engineering and management in our daily lives? Well, basically, construction management can be seen everywhere because every big project needs a construction manager. The bigger the project is, the more challenging it will be for the construction manager since they would be the ones overlooking and managing the entire project. So what are the possible problems a construction manager might encounter? The first one would be tight project schedule. To avoid these types of risk, a construction manager must plan everything ahead of time so that he could give sufficient time for his workers. It should be always remembered to avoid rushing constructions to avoid further drawbacks, and it would be much more dangerous for the workers. The last risk I want to mention is inaccurate costing. The project manager must calculate the costing of the entire project before hiring workers since they are the ones to receive the funding before distributing it to the architects, engineers, contractors, and workers. They must also ensure to allocate these funds to different sectors of the project. That is all for my discussion, and thank you.
Hello, I'm Marc and I'll be discussing about fun and famous buildings that would not be how it is today without construction management. At least 3 of them. So, ever heard of that one obscure building used over 600 years ago as a border outpost with an extra brick on top? Well, actually there's a reason for that. 2 of them. The first is, it's a flex, and the other was pure deus ex machina. The building is called Jerico, located in the western part of the Great Wall of China, created in the Ming Dynasty to supplement the wall. Legend has it that the workman, possibly the engineer of this project, was feeling lucky and calculated that it only required 1 short of 100,000 bricks. The financial supervisor was not pleased. After all, in construction, you always need extra materials, especially when people break it or steal it. Yes, people do. Especially bricks, so he commissioned an extra 1. Luckily, it was actually completed with the exact number that he proposed. This is where the story deviates. The first said that this extra brick was placed just to spite the supervisor, and the other says that he pulled the idea that this brick was specially added by the gods to protect the building from collapsing. As for the historicity of this story, I'm not so sure, though you can actually find an extra 100,000 brick today if you visit there. Now, oftentimes you always have to have extra material in case of damages or disappearances. This is why scenarios like this is a one-off. The construction manager at the time was pretty much dedicated to this and minimized costs along with the workers, and it tends to not happen that easily. Often construction management is a lot more than just instructing and watching the building happen and assemble like Lego. It's more likely that the water, the soil, the workers, and the materials betrayed you, and you cannot request a deadline change because time is money and this is in school, so you can't quit. Like the Burj Khalifa, they had the fortune to be sponsored by one of the richest in the country, and it scouted for it the best soil foundation possible. Until you realize that Arabian land is not too big on being good. For the world's tallest building, they face a tiny problem with the whole building sinking into the ground because of smooth sands and soft silt at the bottom. Good for digging, but not so much for building. In the end, the construction managers there had to work together with a whole bunch of engineers, manage every detail, and injected tons of concrete to have a proper foundation, and had specially made pile drivers to make sure it could handle the structure. This is where the cool Y shape of the building came to be, using the properties of the triangle to support the weight of their decision. Did I say this was the best land they could find? Yeah, sometimes things happen without anyone noticing, say the buildings. Like the Tower of Pisa, known for its tilt, the tower was purportedly straight until the soil below decided that softening up was a good idea. The crazy part was when the tilt became famous and everyone forgot that it is continuously, ever so slightly sinking into the ground. You now have engineers tasked to keep it structurally sound but also keep it tilting. The solution? Get a bunch of CEs to manage a site, build a few counterweights and bolt it down on one side with cables to prevent further tilting. Well, it worked for a while until the sinking began to increase. With a bunch of thinking and scratching heads, the engineers thought less is more, so they removed the topsoil and built a drainage to remove the water, causing the softening, and it worked. Just imagine you're a CE manager and you have to do all that while keeping its iconic look and trying to do it as fast as possible so your client will not lose income and visitation fees for the building. I mean, it's demanding. Even worse is when you have to make sure no one knew about it until the official records came out, like the Citicorp Center. Yeah, I know it's not layman famous, but it was such a clutch you had to include it. You had to command a whole group of loud workmen to become ninjas and reinforce an entire building. With a lot of executives not so happy about it. The story there was the original architect for the building had cross-cutting done behind his back and got his safety levels decreased for profit. Storm level winds could make the building fall. It took a lot of convincing to convince the top people that a building falling on someone is a bad day, and finally the original architect took charge to correct it through night shift workers had to be managed to keep it secret. In the end, it was quite messy, and plus a hurricane coming in gave them a deadline. Let's just say things were tense. They even planned evacuation but managed to finish it on time. Did I say this was from an archae undergrad? So what did I learn? I learned to keep charge of a lot of details, improvise, and keep things as quiet as much as possible. So yeah, that's it. Some fun facts about how management can make or sink a building. Honestly, this whole deal just teaches why soils, humility, confidence, and having sacrificial client-engineer relations are so important. So, thank you.